Welcome
Let's do
everybody.
it.
Let's do it. Welcome everyone. Hey guys, I'm Nissa. I've got a lovely guest today. I'm going to hand it over to her straight off the back. Welcome, Marta.
Thank you. Thank you. It's always so nice to hang out with you all. I love to do these sessions with Nissa. So my first is like, oh, I've only got you for like 15 minutes, 20 minutes. What do I say? How much can I fit in that time? So throughout the years, I think that I've got 4 things that are really important that I want to share with you. Your babies are still quite young, so it's not about, really full on sleep training, although everything I do is gentle. We're not going to go there today. It's almost like building a house through the roof. Parents will often say, I have tried to do things like pick up and put down or shushing in the cot, and it doesn't work. And it won't unless you do the prep work first. And that's what we're going to focus on today. So the way I work, I've been doing this for about 10 years. I have 3 children myself, so I've helped hundreds and hundreds of parents through the years. So I've heard it all, and I kind of try to assimilate it all and then give to you what I've been learning. So my very first one is the sleep environment. And I think I've got a good way of doing this. The way I would like you to think about your baby's sleep environment, or I invite you to think about their sleep environment, is to think about their senses, to use their senses to your advantage. So we are going to use the sense of sight and smell and their hearing. So with sense of sight, it's making the room darker. That's an easy one. What we want ultimately is that the babies go into their bedrooms, into your bedrooms, and the environment shouts out, now this is different, it's sleep time, okay? So making the room darker. There's lots of arguments over how dark's too dark, when to do it dark so that they know daytime from nighttime. There's a very easy answer to that. They can only distinguish day from night around 12 weeks. So up to 12 weeks, you want to encourage sleep in a bit of light. So yes, draw a curtain in the bedroom, but it doesn't need to be pitch black. Anything from over 4 months, then feel free to make your rooms really dark. To counteract that so that they are still used to sleeping outside, make sure that you are having, or they are having, buggy naps as well, buggy, pram, car, so that they become flexible sleepers. They can sleep in and out. But when they're in, make the room dark. It's a game changer. And when I say dark, it's dark. It's sort of, you stretch your arm and you can't see your hand in front of you. So pitch black. I'm very jealous of Nissa's blinds, which are amazing. Okay, so yes, that sense of sight. And then smell. So we know, nothing to do with sleep, but we know that smells fast track memories, and we can use that to our advantage. If you associate a smell with sleep, they will learn to recognize what you want from them when they enter this environment much faster. Obvious one is lavender, but it could be chamomile, it could be anything you want. Careful with the smell of breast milk. Some babies, yes, it works really well. They relax when they smell the milk. Other babies will just want more and more milk. So nothing wrong with trying and see what works for you. But yes, so sense of smell, really useful. And the other one is hearing. I'm sure you've all heard about white noise, and I will just say the same. It's really useful. Some babies don't like white noise and they prefer lullabies or noises, people talking, just like that. You can download these things. You find one and use it. It's really useful. And Nissa, you've had, you feel it worked, didn't it, with Indy? It's really useful. The trick is to have something on at the beginning of the routine when you're still with them, when you're still having those lovely last cuddles before sleep. You want the baby to associate the sound with that feeling of being together, being all relaxed and loved up and safe. And you want to keep the sounds on all the way until you want your baby to wake up. So that's all night, or for obviously all the duration of a nap. What you don't want is to have a toy that goes off after 20 minutes. Sorry if you already have one, but I have seen it create more problems because babies will wake up after the 20 minutes when the noise isn't there anymore. So using those three together, imagine you go from the living room where it's nice and bright and everybody's very awake. You go into the bedroom, it's dark, it smells of lavender, and there's sounds. It's instantly a place to sleep. So that's my number one, the environment, and you can do that right away. My second one is such an easy thing to do, but it is a game changer. It is, you know, when we always hear put your baby in the cot awake, and at different times you try that, and as soon as you're going down, boom, they wake up. And there's a few reasons for that. If we think about it, they feel a difference in temperature because they're moving away from you. They can't feel your smell. Gravity kind of feels like they're falling. So there's a few reasons. And then the cot is cold. It's obviously harder than your body, and they're probably not used to being there. So of course they're not going to want to stay. So then if you try a few times and it doesn't work, then you start to believe your baby doesn't like the cot. So you stop trying. You start to let them fall asleep on the breast or on a hug, all the other things, buggy car. So I would really invite you, because at some point you are going to want to have your baby fall asleep in the cot. Start now. The earlier the better. I'll tell you one, this is my second really important one. If it's really difficult to do it at sleep time, you can do it when they're awake. It works really well. So what I suggest to all of you is, when the baby is nice and awake, nice and happy, put them in the cot. Let them have a play around. Let them look at you and see that you feel really calm, really relaxed when they're there, okay? So nothing crazy. You don't want to be too excited. As they grow, you don't want to leave lots of very active type toys in the cot, but just something that helps them play. So maybe a little soft toy in their hands, or they're very happy just to have their hands free. And the most important thing is that you are close by, you're looking at them, you're smiling, you're telling them that the cot is a safe place. Once you've done that for a good week, then start to try to put them in to fall asleep. It's an absolute game changer. I sometimes have babies that parents have tried to do controlled crying with them, and it didn't work, and the babies are very scared of going into the cot because they've been left there crying. And this is the first thing I do with them. Just, it's like cot exposure, and it works really, really well. I'm going to drink some water. I'm having coughing fits. It's not corona.
I love that.
It's not. I had a cold. Right. So yes, cot awake, really important. Then my next one, and this becomes easier as they grow older, but I would really love for everybody to have that in the back of their minds, is that when babies are overtired, they don't want to let go of you. So the best time to put a baby to sleep, if they are not tired enough, they literally can't switch off. They just can't do it. If they are overtired, they can do it, but it's harder. Plus, what happens when they're overtired? Their adrenaline levels go up. So they become a little bit more irritable and they feel more vulnerable. You know, remember that adrenaline tells us that there is a stressor, there is fear, there is something to fear. So why would they want to let go of you when they are in fear? You know, they just won't. They're absolute survival machines. They want to stay with you because you keep them safe. So it's really important to put them in the cot, or at least start the process of trying to get them to sleep at the right time for them. So this is the scientific bit. I'm going to do a wave with my hands. It's like a little graph. So if you can imagine that your baby, any age, wakes up and is down here. When they wake up, pretty chilled, and then slowly the body starts to pump them up with the hormones they need to stay awake, to feed, to bond, to learn through play. So it goes up and up and up, and the hormones go up, and they're really happy. And it's a really good exercise to do, to write down what time your baby wakes up at any time, naps or in the morning, and then write down what they do as they're going up. What do they look like? So you're the scientist, you're really trying to get to know your baby really well. So is it that, here we go, normally they are bright-eyed, sorry guys, bright-eyed, and the eyebrows are often quite high up, and they're looking around. They often move their hands quite fluidly. As they reach the top, then start to come down. They don't stay there happy for very long. So sorry. They start to come down. As they come down, I would like you to write what it looks like. So once they have their bright-eyed moment, what do they look like? And it's beautiful to do this. What you start to notice is the eyes, they're not moving as much, they're as wild. The eyebrows don't really go up anymore. They often have a glazed look, and they give you the stare, or they'll stare into a spot. They are literally switching off. Think about the hormones. They're really like going like this, lower, 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 until they hit this. It's a moment where they are their least alert. They're not falling asleep by themselves, but they are their least alert. That's the window the books talk about. And you want to know, what's the distance between here and here? How long is that? For very young babies, it's up and down, and it's very difficult. But by 6 weeks, you can normally start to tell. It could be as little as 40 minutes, half an hour, 40 minutes. It could be an hour. The older babies, so I was trying to write down how old they were. There was a 3-month and 4-month babies. They might be able to start to do an hour and a half. But
you're doing well, Marta.
I'm so sorry.
I've
just come from a consultation and it was a nightmare. I had to keep going. Yes, so your first homework is, how long is this curve? How long is that? And the way to do that is trying to work out, what do they look like up here when they're starting to come down. And that's a beautiful thing to do. What works very well is that you go into the room to start helping, or if they're sleeping in the living room because they're still very young, start to help them to fall asleep when you see those first signs. So glazed look, the staring, they're not moving as much, put them in the cot, do it then. If you haven't fed already, feed, but they're probably gonna fall asleep. Ideally, especially as the baby gets older, try to feed down here when they first wake up, because they're not gonna fall asleep on the breast or the bottle. If you wait and then you feed after that awake period, they're probably gonna fall asleep, and then you can start to see this association of, I will only fall asleep on the breast, because that's what they're learning. There's nothing wrong with it. They're not broken or spoiled, or how people sometimes make you believe. It's just because that's how they've been falling asleep. That's what they're learning that needs to happen. So try to move the feet there if you can, and down here they switch off. They're starting to get really chilled into the cot. Now remember, you've been putting them in the cot to play. So when you put them in the cot and they're still in this happy place, they're okay. And you start to have good positive experiences of being in the cot. If you miss that window, which we all do, it happens, they go down here and they don't stay there waiting for us. What will happen is they hit their most tired place. This is where they're yawning, rubbing eyes. The eyes often become red and quite dark circles. They often pull their ears. They are now overtired. We tend to respond to those signs, but that's too late. But if you're at that point and they're overtired, what will happen? They go up again. And this is the problem I see a few times a day, is that we are putting, and you know, I'm guilty of doing the same. We put them to sleep up here. What will happen? They're full of adrenaline. They're at the same place as they were on their first curve. So their body is telling them, no, it's time to play so that we can learn and bond and feed. Don't go to sleep. So parents will often say, my baby fights sleep. Yes, because that's what the body's doing, is pumping with the adrenaline. So because they're fighting sleep, what do we have to do? More rocking, more boobing, more bottle, and the association is formed, okay? So if that time it's done, you have to do what you have to do to get them to sleep. But when they wake up, start doing your curve again. Hey, Indy. So that you try to get them into their cot, or at least if they fall asleep in your arms, at the right time for them. That is by far the most important thing you can do. There is a ton of schedules on the internet, and so far I've resisted putting one of my own, because the last thing I would want is for anybody to say, you know, this is the holy grail, I have to follow this schedule, or else, you know. And it doesn't work like that. It's you guys working together. There are apps that are very helpful, but ultimately every baby is different, and you want to be guided by your own baby's schedule. And if you take pen and paper and you observe your children, I know you can do it, and you'll have your own schedule. I mentioned the internet, and this is not part of the 4 things I was going to mention, but I'll just quickly mention it. Be careful on what websites you can go to. There's lots of people's opinions, and they're fine, they're valid, but they might not relate to your baby because their samples are very small. The NHS is a great place to go. The baby center, there's a really good website called Bases. It's the University of Durham. They have a sleep lab. You want to go to places that are following the evidence, and not just making you feel really rubbish. Which leads me nicely to my last point, which is, and you might feel this doesn't relate to sleep, but it's self-care. It's your self-care. And I mention this because when I work with parents, if the parents aren't well, and it is often the mum suffering from postnatal depression or absolute sheer exhaustion, it's really hard to improve on the baby sleep, because you know, you're not in the best place, and it's very hard for you to stay consistent when you're that tired. And to read your baby really well because you're so tired. You know, I've been there myself. I've suffered from postnatal depression. It's very easy to talk, very hard to do. So this is it's completely normal. But what I would really suggest you do, and this is what I suggest to all my mums, is to think about, during the day, in the craziness that our days are when we have young babies, where can you take care of yourself? What can you do to make sure you're staying well? Don't be extra kind to your partners working shifts. And always, one thing I've noticed, you might have noticed already, is that if your brain knows that there is a break coming, you manage more. So if your brain knows today's Monday, that on Wednesday you can sleep for maybe 4 hours in a row, you can keep going. Or, you know, you can stay in bed in the morning when the babies wake up, or go to bed earlier. You decide, but have a little plan of, when's your next hit coming? When can you next sleep? Because that's really important. If it's just all focused on the baby's well-being, it doesn't work. It's you and the baby working together. And I loved, before we all got together, Nissa was having a chat with one of you, and saying just follow their lead and go with it. And throughout these 6 months, with Indy, 6 months, 5 months, we've been chatting throughout, and it's been beautiful to see Nissa just going, it's okay, he's in the regression, we're just going through it, he'll be okay, following his lead, he knows what he's doing. And if I compare that frame of mind, I'm picking on you, Nissa, with another mum who is very much from the beginning, gotta sleep, the 7 to 7, like the internet says. And I can see the well-being of the two different people being very different. And it could be the other way around. It could be that you are somebody who really needs a routine and you need that right from the beginning. So it's whatever is right for you. Really go and do it. Don't get hung up on the internet, because they all want to sell you stuff. And you know what's best for you. One thing I was going to mention in the beginning and I didn't, is the first thing that I would look at is there anything physically that could be preventing the babies just from sleep? And the two that come to mind is reflux and constipation and upset tummy. So those things, tongue tie, those things are really important to look at first. So if the issues are things like, my baby won't be put down, that's often something that parents say, I would be first of all thinking about maybe seeing an osteopath or speaking with your midwives to check, is it the baby's tummy, is there some reflux, some dairy intolerance, all those things. Because the last thing you want to do is think there's something wrong with you as a mother or a father, and when there's something physical, and that's the reason why babies aren't sleeping. It can happen. But I'll stop there, because it's so much easier when you ask me questions, and then I'll say exactly what you need to hear. Hopefully. That was very arrogant. You know what I mean?
We know what you mean, Marta. There were some gems there. I love like how much knowledge you are, how much knowledge you have. You try and cram it as much in into like 15 minutes. It's amazing. I will have to watch this back again to be able to take it all in. Maybe ladies, you're like me. I'm like, wow, so many helpful things. I think I got half of it. I think we're just going to do a Q&A, guys. We've got Marta for half an hour. She's a busy lady, but we've got her for half an hour. We're very lucky. I know lots of us have babies, and I think there's a couple that are pregnant. We've even got a twin mummy with us today, so she might, even if she's not coming on the video, she might hop on and ask a question maybe for her twinnies. I think they're about 2 months old. I think, because I get you, Marta, to myself, because you're my friend and I get to ask you things all the time, I'm gonna forfeit my chance to ask, and I'm just gonna hand it over. Ladies, if you'd like to ask a question, don't be overly polite, just hop on, unmute yourself and jump on in and say, hi Marta, and just fire away, because I think there might be quite a lot of questions today, so we might do a bit of a quick fire. Would that be all right, Marta? Okay, let's go.
I've got a question. So Lily started crying in her sleep. Like, she's asleep, she's out. I've got it good for going down for nap. She'll go down for a nap, she'll sleep in a nap. But like, just then when the call started, just before this call started, she started crying in her sleep. And then she's woken herself up crying before she's due to finish her nap. And sometimes I can rock her back to sleep after she's woken herself up and get her settled again. But sometimes she just can't, and and she wasn't really ready to wake up. And then in the night, she keeps crying in her sleep, like once an hour, every couple of hours, she starts crying. And she's asleep. It's not like she's awake or anything. Her eyes are closed, she's sleeping. And I just don't know. Oh gosh, my top dress is fallen down. But,
love it, Rosie, love it.
But
it's normally, I mean, it's very hard to just in a word go, boom, this is what it is. But generally, it's tummy.
Right.
Generally, it's digestion. So one thing, and this is a wild guess, but it's an educated guess. I see this quite a lot, and I remember it with mine. So one suggestion would be baby massage
Okay.
during the day. And there's a really, really good, I don't, but it's not hard to find. If you go on YouTube, and there is an NHS midwife that has, I think, 5 videos on baby massage. She specializes in baby massage, and it's really useful.
Yeah.
That would be my first port of call. She definitely doesn't have nightmares. She's far too young. But it feels like that. All of a sudden, there's this cry, and my first guess would be tummy.
Right. Because that's funny, because she's just had 2 poos then since we've had this call, and she's just woken up before, so maybe probably fits that actually.
Yeah, and it will go as her digestion starts to regulate and the feeds become more regular. It will go, but I wouldn't worry. But I would say.
Thank you.
That's okay.
Good to know. That's good to know.
Marta, I have a question. I'm struggling a little bit with naps. Like in the day, she sort of, but like not when to do them, but I'll just explain. Like basically, we've always, well, for like however long now, she's had like 4 naps in the day based on like how long she's been awake and stuff like that. And they've always sort of been roughly every 2 hours or so, like from the moment she's awake. She'll sort of go 2 hours before any sleepy cues and then go down, and goes down for usually about half an hour. She can't seem to really connect her sleep cycles. But by the end of the day, because of the timings and when she first wakes up, I'm getting into this odd pattern of like the 4th one of the day will be too late in the day. She still goes down to bed absolutely fine. So I'm not sure if it's even an issue or not, but sometimes like the past 2 days, she's gone down for a nap because it's just been too long at like 6, and her bedtime is like, we give her a bottle and bedtime at 7:30. And yeah, so 6 o'clock, and I normally cap it at like 20 minutes just so I can make sure that she'll actually go down to bed. So I'll like quieten down the white noise and stuff and calmly wake her up. But I feel like that's also really like,
no one likes to do it, but it sounds like the right thing to do in that situation.
I just don't know if she needs to like drop a nap and like how I would even go down to like 3 naps a day.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't have very long.
Question, and this is exactly the type of question that if you Google, you will get lost, because you will have this is the schedule. I'm gonna pick up on exactly what you said. You know how long she can stay awake for. That's what you do. And if it takes you to 6 p.m. and that's too early for bedtime, you call that a nap. Going to bed, so if she has a nap at 6, she wakes up, let's say even if it's 6:30, bedtime could be the 7:38, and that's okay.
Yeah.
So her bedtime, because she's still 4 months, her bedtime does not have to be 7 sharp. It's her bedtime, and every baby's bedtime is, in your example, 2 hours since she woke up. Okay. So her bedtime could be 9. It doesn't matter. With very young babies, if you have bedtime very early, you are more likely to have a disturbed night. Mm-hmm. Later, yes, absolutely. But right now, and you are in the middle of the regression, so
I'm like it hasn't hit us yet, thank God. But I'm like fingers crossed. One day.
Yeah, and some babies they're not particularly bad during the regression. You might have just you might have passed already and you didn't even notice. But I would be careful with the 2 hours, especially in the morning. At 4 months, 2 hours is quite long. I wouldn't be surprised if it was more, an hour and a half. And I wonder if it was an hour and a half, whether that would be a better time for her, so she's not overtired, and then the nap is longer.
Oh, okay. All right. I'll give that a go then.
Playing around with it, because I'm giving a bit more, because I think a few of you will have very similar questions. If they are overtired when they go to sleep, the adrenaline is bubbling up. So as soon as they have enough rest, boom, they're up again. Mm-hmm. Okay. So it might be that's why the naps are shorter. And the beauty of that would be if you have 2 longer naps, then you wouldn't have the problem of the later nap.
Yeah. Okay. I'll play around with her times then. That might help.
I'll play around with the times.
Cool. Thank
Good
you.
luck. We've got a couple of questions on chats, but I'll leave it for last, maybe. Let's keep going.
Could I ask a question about sleep associations?
Yes.
So I've obviously got probably the oldest baby here. She's 7 months, and we've always struggled with sleep. A lot of it we probably could have solved had I spoken to you earlier, but unfortunately we've got to that stage of feeding to sleep, shall we say, because it was the only way I could survive. So I just wanted to ask about tips on sort of stopping that association, really, of the breastfeed to sleep.
So it's not the fastest of answers, but I'll try my best. One thing to try is for sure to feed when she wakes up. First day feels so strange, but it's that it for her to disassociate sleep from feeding, you have to disassociate it first in your own mind, you know, because we all do it when we have this going on. Baby's tired, boob out, you don't even think about it because it's so quick. But it has to help, it has to work on you first, and then you pass on the message to her. So you feed when she wakes up. When she wakes up and she's still a little bit not fully there yet, boob in, and you will hopefully have a really good feed because she's still a little bit relaxed, still in the bedroom, feed, and then she has her happy time. And the idea is that you don't feed until she wakes up from her nap. Okay, so that would be the ideal. It's very hard to start with, but that's the idea. Because I know it's hard, and I've been through that myself with mine, what I do with my moms is we do that, exactly what I said, but we have a little caveat. When we're putting them to sleep, we do all the bits I was talking about, putting in the cot awake. If they start to want the breast, we give the breast, but we don't let them fall asleep. So the idea is that they're like, but there's something missing. I always have a boob before I go to sleep. So they need to hit those tick boxes that they have. I go to the room, maybe my nappy's changed, mummy feeds me, and then I go to sleep. That keeps them safe. So they're reluctant to let go of it, even if they're not hungry. So what you do is you still have your light on, you're still telling a story or talking, little boob, but not to sleep. It's just to tick the box of I've been on the boob. And then you unlatch, cuddle. She'll cry, back on the boob, unlatch, cuddle. So you do that little dance. If it's at early enough that she's not overtired, she's more likely to accept the change. If she's overtired, she's like, I don't want to hear about it. Give me that boob or I'm going to scream. It's all about the schedule.
And if I so the other problem we're having is she wakes quite frequently in the night all of a sudden. So she had been going sort of 5 hours and then 3, 2, and was starting to sleep in her own cot, and then we hit that really hot weather, and it all sort of went a bit wrong from there. And since then she's sort of woken every hour and a half, and again I've had to resort to co-sleeping and just going on the breast through the night. So
it's the same issue as during the day, and the easiest way of doing it in my experience is work on the day first. So give yourself a week. First of all, you need to teach her to fall asleep without the breast, even if it's with a cuddle to start with, without the breast, because first she needs to fall asleep without the breast to then be able to return to sleep without the breast. So you can't really work on the nights without the days improving.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Thank you, Egan. Good luck. That is a tough one. You're at the other side now, where I've always been with my own. Bear in mind this. That is my experience of parenting. We try and try, but it is hard. So good luck.
Thank you.
Who would like to go next?
Wow, ladies.
We're getting shy.
I'll ask a question.
Go for it.
Oh, is it me? Sorry. Can I just ask? I've got a few questions actually. One is there anything I can do to prevent sleep being disrupted by a bowel movement, or is that just how it is at this stage of life?
How old is your baby? Sorry, I've gone to the chat. I can't see you.
8 weeks.
8 weeks. Yeah, it is. It is this stage of life. I mean, I think, Nissa, you might be able to shed some light, but my understanding is that the gut is just immature, and because they're still having so many feeds during the night, if they're having issues digesting it, it's going to happen. I know when they're older, I sometimes play with their feeding schedule, if it's possible. If they're already normally feeding every X amount of hours, we can play around with the feeding to try to get big feeds during the day when they're, and then have space and time to poo, and then feed for less time during the night. But at 8 weeks, if you had come to me, I think I would say, let's just wait a little bit longer. And again, baby massage is so useful to get those bowels moving.
But presumably not in the middle of the night, because that will wake them up.
No, not unless she's uncomfortable. No. So during the day, up to the bath time, try to get a poo out. It sounds crazy, doesn't it? But I know from my own that if I massage, they would, poo really easily, and it would all flow, and they would sleep better. And if I didn't do it, then there would be tummy aches and a massive poo at 2 o'clock in the morning. So it's worth a try. You're not forcing Sophia to poo if she can't, but you might be helping.
Yeah, I think she does need a bit of help. There's a lot of grunting and
that's
upset.
normal. Yeah, well, good luck with that.
Thank you. There was another question as well. You mentioned day naps. Other than going out in the car or the pram, I don't think I've ever managed to get her to go to sleep, other than that sort of method. Have you got any tips for? Because certainly I've never put her down in the cot in the day and she's managed to stay asleep. She's not too bad at night now, slowly improving, but in the day I don't really put her down at all. She might sleep in the sling occasionally.
So the first thing I would do is bring sleep home, even if it's in the buggy, because outside it's different. The fresh air and the noise and the cars and stopping and starting and movement. So what I've often done, because I always try to not have any tears, so the easiest way is always to start where they are and slowly bring them to where we want them to be. So the first thing I would do is buggy in the corridor and napping there for a few days, so that we're sort of weaning her off the outdoors all the time. And then all the things I've talked about, the schedule being right, in the pram or the car, it doesn't really matter what the time is because they just fall asleep. Whereas in the cot, you have to be more precise. And at 8 weeks, you are at that point where she is starting to have a schedule. She will have a magic number that she can stay awake for, and it's beautiful to try to work these things out. It's going to be between 40 minutes and an hour, I reckon. And it's going to be really lovely for you two to work together on, instead of going into the room, having all those lovely cuddles. You might have to do a bit of rocking because she's used to the pram, but it's time to bring sleep home, because otherwise winter's on its way. Do it. And the day's long. It doesn't have to be for every nap. What I would normally say is have the morning at home, because the morning naps are easier. This is for everybody. And then the afternoon naps, and we've already had one mum, Olivia, I think, saying the fourth nap was very hard. Those naps, I normally say, sling buggy out, so that you have a break before bedtime. And it's a much easier way of managing your day.
Okay. Oh, that's great. Thank you very much.
Pleasure. I think I'll have a look at the chat. Sorry. Here we go. Because it's getting a bit full. Okay. So, baby's 14 weeks. This is Alison. Hi, Alison. The baby's 14 weeks, and until now, we just let her sleep on our carrier pram cot. But we think we missed the cues. and should have been putting her down. Unsurprisingly, she's now bad at napping in the cot and doesn't sleep well at night. 3 hours at first, then every hour. She might be going through a growth spurt, but she's never really slept well from the beginning. How do you restart? Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much every case that comes to me. It's gone, and it's like that the 7-month baby we were talking about before. Something's already happened, and now it's time to go back and try to fix things a little bit. She's super young. I would not be worried at all. But again, I'm going to keep using my cheesy line of bring sleep home and have fun, really enjoying getting to know what they look like during those cues. You're going to find out so much about your babies. It's brilliant. Sometimes parents will say, oh, now I've noticed my baby, when they're tired, they get red eyebrows. That's a funny one. But some babies do. I was working with a baby recently. When she got tired, she would suck her bottom lip. It was hilarious. Like, it was so funny. And it was only by us writing it down that we worked out, we linked the two. So yeah, bring sleep home, stay home so you can work out what they look like during the that wave, and starting to sleep in the bedroom, even if it is in your arms. Step number 1 is bringing them into the bedroom, and then start working it in the cot. It won't be all at the same time. It won't work like that. I think I don't have any more questions. No, the other ones were just comments. So any more questions?
I have a quick one.
Go for it.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
Okay, on mindset more, I think, than anything. Similar to Olivia, I have the issue that Mina sleeps really well during the night, but hardly during the day. And I think one of the reasons is that I've been waiting too long, which I just discovered. But the other thing is that I'm also a bit worried to have her sleep longer during the day, and then she no longer sleeps for her 7-8 hours at night, if that makes sense.
Oh, Anna. Yes, it makes complete sense. I know what you mean. But the key sentence there is another one to remember, which is sleep encourages sleep with babies. Okay. The best example of that is they often sleep better for the first nap.
What can you see?
Indy! And
oh, we're loud.
Right.
Sorry.
And the reason why they often sleep better for that first nap is because they've been asleep during the night, so they've rested. The system needs to be nice and chilled for them to sleep. So I wouldn't worry about that. We're with. I forgot, how old is Mina? You're not my.
3 months.
3 months. Okay, so 3 months. Gosh, she could be sleeping 4 hours a day and still be absolutely fine during the night. Every baby is different. So what I would say is look at overall in a day, pick a day like tomorrow. How long is Mina sleeping during the day? And then start to try to increase it if you feel that the naps are too short. How long are her naps?
They're always only 30 minutes. You can literally set the clock.
Honestly, it would be amazing to try to get her to double at least 2 of her naps. Okay, it doesn't really matter which ones, and I'm going to give you all a strategy I use to try to double the naps, because I think you at different times.
Yeah, that would be great.
30 minutes is like bang on every time. I'm with you, Anna. 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's a classic. So they do 1 sleep cycle, and their body has set up a clock. So it's like an alarm clock, half an hour, it's enough. Go, 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 go and feed, go and play. And they wake up and they're like, oh my God, this is such an amazing world we're living. And so what we need to do is a few things. Again, is the schedule. If they go to sleep overtired, they have difficulty staying asleep. The other one is, how are they falling asleep? If they're falling asleep on you, and then they go into a light sleep, so they're becoming a little bit aware, and they're not on you anymore. They're like, what the hell? This isn't where I fell asleep. Where's my mummy? And the other one is the darkness. For the babies who we're now talking about, 3-4 months, If the room is very light, they wake up, it's daytime, let's keep doing this. So making the room darker. So on short naps, the best thing you can do is to try to prevent them. But if you haven't managed, or now your baby has this clock set, this is what you do. You prevent them from waking up. You anticipate that they're going to wake up. So you know it's 30 minutes for you. What you do is you go into the room about 7 minutes before, and you stay there and you do whatever you need to do to keep them asleep. So sometimes it's touching the tummy, the head, whatever it is, the feet, whatever it is, holding their hands. Sometimes they do this when they wake up. So holding their hands together, you're going to try to prevent them from waking up. So they go into that light sleep, they can see you're around, and then they go back down. That's the best way of keeping them asleep. And the beauty of it is once they're familiar with it and with sleeping for longer, they often then start to do an hour and a half. They triple it. So they double it again all by themselves. You just need to smash that clock, the 30 minutes.
Okay, I'll try. Thank you so much.
It's really useful. And yeah, I would definitely try to double 2. And it's probably going to be the first 2 of the day.
Yeah, I already noticed the first one being longer sometimes, the only one, and yeah, everything you say makes perfect sense. So
Yeah,
thank you so much.
The afternoon ones, it's whatever goes to get you to bedtime. Have to choose our battles. Okay, who's next?
Ooh.
I have a question.
Oh, go on, Jane. Go, go, go.
So in terms of putting them down awake, yeah, I've tried it a few times with Gwen, but she just won't fall asleep basically. I kind of have to rock her and shush her. That's for the daytime if I can get her down in the day. Yeah.
It's all the things I've been talking about. Absolutely, it's the one thing that I get the most. My baby won't fall asleep in the cot. So I have a lot of experience with this one, and I don't deviate from what works, which is it has to be at the right time. You can do all the other things really well. If it's not at the right time, it's not going to work. And parents will often say, I'm doing the consultation, and parents will be saying, I've done that. It doesn't work. And it's fine. The one thing you haven't done is put them to sleep at the right time. Once that's done, everything else falls into place. So schedule, without a doubt. The exposure to the cot sounds like in your case might be needed because you've been already trying. So there's a bit of, oh, here I go to that place I don't want to be in. So yeah, cot exposure. The other thing that you might need to try is when you're in the room, getting them in at the right time. So when they're too sleepy, when they're starting to close their eyes, too late. You want to go when they are, and see, this is just experience, you and the babies doing it together so that you become really confident of what do they look like at that point. It's, again, that glazed look, not moving much. They often feel a bit limp. That's the time to put them in. And then you don't go anywhere. You're right there, as close as you can be, leaning right in. Sleepy times. Having a verbal cue is really useful. That's when it works. When they're falling asleep, when they're once in a while closing their eyes, when you are at that point, it's just like us if we fall asleep on the sofa. If somebody wakes us up, we're not happy with them. We're confused, disorientated, a bit irritable. For babies, that's exactly what happens. Plus, they feel vulnerable, so they want to be with us. So you put them in, and you are waking them up, literally, and they go, whoa, 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 pick me up again. And that reinforces to you, no, I can't put my baby in the cot. So then you are scared, you stop trying. Or you wait until they're like pretty much asleep to try. And they're not, that nap might be a success, but they're not learning how to do it themselves. So yeah. You can totally do it, but I mean, honestly, the best gadget is pen and paper, and you write down, at this time I tried, this happened, I'm gonna go in 5 minutes earlier next time, 10 minutes later, so you can pinpoint it.
And is there like in the morning she's really good doing like she does bang on 40 minutes and then she wakes up. Should I be trying to get her to stay asleep at that? Because I don't really know how long they should be sleeping.
Sure. I would say, I mean, again, tons of schedules online. From my experience, what I try to do is, if they can double, depending on their age, doubling 1 or 2 naps. That's it. I'm happy with that. They don't need to sleep for hours and hours during the day. But the doubling of the nap teaches them how to do it. So if she's practicing how to stay asleep, then she's going to use that knowledge during the night, which will be great. So I would definitely double the first nap if she's already doing 40 minutes, going in. So 7 minutes before, basically the 7 minute rule is because you want to go in while she's still in a deep sleep. So you don't wake her up when you creep in. And then when you're there, gently start to touch whatever you feel might work. And you will see the eyes rolling under the eyelids. They do this, or they turn their heads. And you keep doing it for a good 10 minutes. And then they stop moving again and you can leave. I'd definitely try.
And should that be she's doing her morning nap just in the daylight? Should she be in a dark room?
How old is she again? Sorry,
she's 14 weeks.
Yeah. So darker is fine now. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. But counteract that with some outdoor naps as well.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Pleasure.
I think, Marta, that we're at time, and we could probably keep going for like another hour or two, but that is your time is so precious. But I just wanted to say thank you so much. You're so generous. I hope you found that helpful to all the ladies with questions. I learnt loads. I always learn loads when you speak. What's your website? Where's the best place to find you, Marta?
So it's I can put it on the chat. It's Marta Gardner, sleep consultant.
Perfect. Yeah, type it in so then they can take it if anyone at some point needs a bit more help. Also, you've got lots of good stuff on your Instagram as well, and Facebook. Which is
I do, and I have a group as well. So if you go on my website, I've just sent it now. I have a Facebook group, which is a really easy way of getting in touch with me. It's called Sleepy Parents. I'll put that down I'll just write Sleepy Parents, and it's a really good way of getting my attention. So if you have a quick question, I'm more than happy to answer. I'm typing and talking at the same time. So it's on Facebook, and it's a group called Sleepy Parents. There's lots of local parents, and it's non-judgmental. People just talk. Nobody's going to say, just leave your baby to cry. It's just mothers holding mothers and some dads.
That is perfect. Indy is very chatty today. So
he's so cute.
Muting us because we're just like, ah! Ladies, it's so nice to see you all. I'm back next week. I've got a wonderful guest next week. Rachel, who's written a beautiful book on weaning. So some of you aren't there yet, but she's a lovely lady and super interesting. And the book is vegetarian or kind of plant-based, so even if you're a meat eater, it's quite nice to learn about that as well. So you're all welcome next week, same link as ever, and have a great week, guys, and thank you, Marta.
Thank you everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
So much.
Thank you. Bye.